This is DLFM Online Radio Station Chicago. Dimensión Latina FM Radio TV. Baja nuestra aplicación a través de tu iPhone o Android. Búscanos como Dímela FM. Búscanos en TuneIn Radio como Dimensión Latina FM y visita nuestra página web dimelafm.com.
Y ahora Dimensión Latina FM, tu radio por internet presenta programación en vivo. Estaremos transmitiendo a través del Facebook Live. ¡Comenzamos!
Dimensión Latina FM, tu radio por internet presenta Alas de Amor. Un programa con enfoque en los niños y jóvenes para la salud y bienestar de ellos y sus familias. Conducido por ELSA PRADO. Bienvenidos.
This is ELSA PRADO. Here we are with a new episode of Wings of Love. We're broadcasting live through Dimensión Latina Radio TV. Tonight we have our guest, Jacqueline PRADO. She is a TikToker, influencer, writer. She is a director, wearing a number of different hats, and also is based out of our city of Chicago. Welcome to Wings of Love, Jacqueline.
Thank you so much for having me, ELSA.
Yes, and today we really want to talk about all these different things that are happening to our people. Well, how about that voter suppression?
It's incredible what's happening right now. I have been keeping my eyes on Texas in particular.
Mm-hmm.
When we lost the presidential election, I was laser focused on these midterms and primaries because I wanted to see what would happen to the Latino vote, specifically in Texas and in Florida, right?
Right.
They once were blue. They've been red for some time now. And the hope was to potentially get them closer to purple. And what I saw yesterday through their election results with James Tallarico winning the Democratic nomination was the power of the Latino vote. And that's something I didn't think I'd see in my lifetime. But what happened there, and I don't know if you're familiar with this one political TikToker, his name is Carlos Eduardo Espina.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, everybody knows.
Yes.
I think
he was just at the LULAC conference that I attended in Washington just last week. So I do know.
I call it the Carlos Eduardo Espina phenomenon because he has been able to do something that I haven't seen someone of this generation be able to do. And that's to get your everyday Latino, whether it be Mexican American, Colombian American, just all Latinos here in the States in political content. And he's based in Texas. And I thought it was brilliant of James Tallarico. I love James Tallarico. I love Jasmine Crockett. I think either candidate would have been an excellent candidate to run in this seat. But James Tallarico, what I personally feel set him apart was tapping on Carlos Eduardo Espina to do in-person events, to do social media campaigns. I think that James and his team understood that maybe working with through the status quo and maybe with some of the political machine on the Dem side was just not working. And bringing someone like a Carlos Eduardo Espina, who isn't beholden to the party, he's beholden to his people.
And that's what it's about, right?
Exactly.
Our people.
Exactly.
But what does it mean to be Latino? How does it represent the Latino community, right? What, we are the core. We're the foundation, literally, of this country.
Yes.
With the labor and the workers and the type of work that is being done by our people, our community.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And it goes beyond more than just our labor. I mean, we can talk about labor figuratively, literally. We Latinos in this country are maintaining the growing birth rate in this country, while other groups are declining. Latino birth rates are increasing and are what's propping up this country. I think that that has left a lot of people on the right and the far right very scared. And I think that because of these demographic shifts, I think that that's why we're seeing a lot of these radical legislation being passed that personally attacks our community, right? And I think that in Texas, what we saw is that we saw many males vote Republican during the presidential election, a lot of Mexican American people. We saw a lot of Texans of Latino descent that just didn't vote, were disengaged altogether. And then this president came in and targeted our community very, very brutally. And I think it really opened that community's eyes that you can't be complacent or apathetic towards politics, or you're not really truly accepted as an American in this country because of X, Y, or Z. I think it was a really big awakening for that community, and to have influencers like Carlos Eduardo Espina, like yourself, like myself, that are continuing to talk to our community in an authentic way in English and in Spanish.
Exactly.
And talking about the real issues and finding those politicians that aren't just going to run as an anti-Trump candidate. That's very critical. We want, as Latinos, to know, okay, you can be anti-Trump, but what are you going to do for us? What are you going to do for the Latinos in the Valley? What are you going to do for the Latinos that are from mixed status families? What are you going to do to help? With the bottom line, we're just like any other group in this country that have households with children that need proper education, households that maybe have one or two parents that are or aren't working, that are making below minimum wage. How are they supposed to make ends meet and put food on the table for their families? Like, these are real life questions. And that's why I'm so hopeful for Texas. I'm so hopeful for us here in Chicago and in Illinois as well, and across the states. I think this awakening was very much needed. I think we've talked about the sleeping giant, the Latino vote, for decades now. Since I was in college many moons ago, the sleeping giant. We've talked about it over and over again.
Because these minorities, like I believe even Carlos described, we're not just talking about Mexican people. We're talking about people coming from Venezuela, Colombia, South America, different parts of different worlds, per se. They're all coming together now because we are all getting kind of thrown in one big pot. And these are the Latinos.
And it goes even beyond Latinos. We are an immigrant people. So when you see what happens in Minneapolis, in Minnesota, and you saw so many different types of immigrants being targeted, it brought us all together. And I think that's something that this current administration didn't count on, right? It was very much divide and conquer. It's Cubanos aquí, Venezolanos allá, Mexicanos And once we saw these ICE immigration and Department of Homeland Security operations across the states take place, and they were able to legally, racially profile us, it didn't matter. They don't see Cubano or Dominicano or Mexicano. They just see brown. They hear accent. They see how we're dressed, and they other us. And so I think there was a lot of power in stripping away this sense of individualism and showing us that we're stronger together as a community.
And it was proven, right? Yes. Because I really firmly believe that if there was a lesson to be learned, where all the people that went MAGA, we had this group of Hispanic Latinos that decided they had forgotten where they came from, and then they got the scare of their lives.
Yes.
When they were all getting picked up by ICE in the middle of nowhere, you know, whether you were in a store, the streets, work, wherever, they came and hunted them down.
Yes.
So now they're trying to do an enslavement.
Right.
They're trying to enslave us, and people are sleeping. People need to understand that just the way the Black community were enslaved, now they want to enslave the Latino community.
Well, there's so many different, if you look at the demographics with farm workers in this country, it's predominantly people of Latino descent, predominantly immigrant people that are undocumented, that under many administrations, not just the Republican, but Democrats alike, have used this group, paid them subpar wages, pennies on the dollars, and have worked them down to the bone. You and I have seen countless videos of these farm workers working through heat exhaustion, working through torrential rain, just taking a physical beating. And
nothing stronger than, remember when there were the fires in California?
Exactly.
And there were their hands in the produce.
Those farm workers were considered essential workers during COVID, when most people were allowed to stay at home with their families and hunker down during this devastating global pandemic. Los campesinos, the farm workers, were considered essential workers, and hora a trabajar.
Right.
And we see this not just even with farm workers. If you look at the data and the statistics, Latinas are some of the lowest paid workers in the entire workforce here in the United States. That's why we look at Latina Equal Pay Day, and we every year around the same time we see how much further we've fallen back. There isn't much progress as Latinas, and I like to point out that the largest wage gap isn't even with our sisters that may be working in low paying jobs, but the gap really widens the more educated a Latina becomes. A Latina working in a law firm, a Latina as a doctor, that's where the pay gap really widens. And so I think that for many administrations, our people were good to do the hard labor.
Right.
They were good for those purposes, to your point of the treatment of this community. But once those generations started to educate their children, right? The farm workers wanted better for their children. And that generation then bettered their next generation. And then we had enough to take our kids to law school and medical school. Then it became a real issue. We weren't supposed to get educated. We weren't supposed to gain real economic power, influence, or even political power.
Right.
And we see that changing dramatically. And I think that's where the other side seized up and unfortunately is trying to reverse engineer the progress of Latinos in this country. Well, too little, too late. We're here. We are U.S. citizens. We are getting educated. And guess what? We are having way more babies than anybody else.
Right. Y no nos vamos.
No, we're not going
right?
most of
Whether
us.
they want to take our birthright citizenship away, whether they want to do the caste system all over again, because I know that a lot of people don't understand what the caste system is, and the caste system is basically keeping you poor
Right.
by really depriving you of being able to get an education. And that is the reason behind the very low paying jobs, because they want to have us in the caste system, which is what they also did when they enslaved Black people.
And you see that, what is his name? Secretary Hegseth from the Department of War, right?
Right.
He recently said that he wants to stop sending any military to Ivy League schools. Now, what does that say to you and me? We know that people of color are the number one new recruits. There's a lot of Latinos that prop up this military, and a lot of other people of color. And he went, Pete Hegseth, Trump, they all went to Ivy League schools, but now they're saying, well, they don't want their military, their active military members, or their military members that are pursuing higher education to go to these Ivy League schools because they might get ideas in their heads.
Well, they might become very intelligent, educated, and powerful people, and they don't want anybody to overpower them. We are battling an oligarchy.
It's the MO of this type of, oppressive regime.
Yes, the oppression is the purpose of this regime right now. And that's why people are not seeing it. But statistics state, and the census is reporting, that by 2045, they will be the minority whites.
Yes. Yes.
We will become the majority. This is why it's so instrumental and so necessary that we stay laser focused on voting. Starting right now this month in March, get your votes in. Come November, keep voting, keep bringing people to the, elections, whether you got to bring your relatives, your cousins, or whoever. Don't let people tell you that they're going to scare you into not voting, because this is still ours to take.
Completely. And you see that whoever's in power really gets to dictate the rules, right? Although we as a community really do prop up the entertainment industry, right? For example,
yes.
It is our dollars, the Latino dollars, that make a blockbuster or kill a film. And even though it is our numbers that are moving and keeping that industry alive, the erasure is so loud. You do not see Latina leading ladies. You do not see or hear of Latinos behind the camera as well. We do not have ownership of our own stories unless we are being dictated by the industry to continue to perpetuate stereotypes. And that is what is allowed in the mainstream. And
because Hollywood is owned by guess who?
It's owned by the rich and powerful.
The white supremacists. Do you know that Hollywood originated the Ku Klux Klan?
I had no idea.
Yes.
Yes.
And when they wear that garb, that was made for them, particularly in Hollywood. Those horrendous pointed hats that are scary looking, and those big white robes and everything. And then they drove down the streets in horses with torches, claiming their white supremacy. That came from straight out of Hollywood. So if anybody does their research, that's where it came from.
I have to do my research on it because you know what? That's so interesting, Elsa. When I saw that the new Scream installment, Scream 7, was coming out this weekend, I instantly thought, one, I'm never going to see that film because of what they did to Melissa Barrera and to Jenna Ortega. Like, point blank, don't need to see the film. But what else kind of struck me was, why would I pay to see a movie of masked men, masked people running around and unaliving our community members? Like,
and we're doing that now.
We see
in
that
real life Scream.
Hey, I live
where we have ICE in masks.
Exactly.
Terrorizing people.
All around.
And murdering them.
And citizens, innocent, completely
innocent people that have never done anything but work and support their families and put the food on the table, are people that are getting murdered.
Yes.
For no reason.
Right.
There's a process right now that they have, and they want to do mass imprisonment because they want to have these privatized, what do they call them? Detention centers. And what's the very scary part? Here we are, concentration camps in 2026.
And
for our people.
Here's the wild part, is that we can't even talk about this on social media unless we highly censor the types of words that we're using. I mean, one of the things we can't even talk about, he who shall not be named from the files, right?
Right.
His partner Ghislaine Maxwell. To talk about the detention centers in a very vulnerable, authentic, and honest way, it will get you nowhere on these platforms today. I have tried to talk about them in the past, and the posts get 0 views. They get flagged for violations. And so again, it is the erasure of our voices. We can't even talk about real life things that are happening to us. Regardless of Hollywood and the entertainment industry, it is important that Latino influencers, Latino political content creators have the freedom to tell our own stories, to document, to be out in the streets recording what is happening in our communities.
And everybody better record, because that's evidence and it's proof of all of the terrorizing that they are doing at this time.
And here in Chicago, we have Marimar, who, was shot by ICE. And it's very frightening because after the fact, thank God she survived. She was able to have the judge release all of the notes and all of the intel that the Department of Homeland Security had secured on her. And that's when we found out that they had already been tracking her from her social media posts. And so for someone like you, like me, someone like Carlos Eduardo Espina, who are talking about political issues, who are talking about how to empower our community with knowledge and information, it's very scary to hear Marimar's story and hear that we can be targeted just like she was.
Exactly.
Right? Shot, I believe, 5 times, and thankfully she survived. But this is the year 2026 and what it means to be a Latina, a Latino in this country. And I'm happy that you're providing a platform where we can talk about these things and not be censored.
And it's so important that we get the word out to all our people, because our people need to know you are in danger, and it is not a joke.
Right.
By any stretch of the imagination, okay? You are all in danger, because if they decide that us being born here in the United States doesn't matter,
right?
And they want to deport us anyway,
right?
And that's unlawful. They're doing it unlawfully. It goes against the Constitution and everything. But yet, how many things have been done up to this point that have violated the Constitution?
Right. All you have to do is look at how they treated 2 white Caucasian citizens, Renee Good and Alex Preddy. Right.
Right.
I mean, there you go. You had the government, the administration, label them terrorists and domestic terrorists. And I think that was very eye-opening for everyone in the country to understand the seriousness, because there had been other people, Keith Porter, African American. There had been here in Chicago. Oh my goodness, his name is escaping me. But he was a father who had just dropped off his 2 children. I want to say it was Sergio or Ignacio.
Yes, I know who you're talking about. Yes,
he was also unalive.
He was murdered, unfortunately,
by
ICE. ICE murdered him. Yes.
Took Renee Good and Alex Freddy's unfortunate murder to have the country understand the gravity of what's happening. But how many lives have to be taken before we as a country do something? And unfortunately, a lot of people ask, well, what can I realistically do? I'm a mom. I work a 9 to 5. I'm tired. What can I do? And I think my advice to them is, 1, educate yourself about your local elections. I don't care if it's for your public school board.
Research the people that are running.
Exactly.
Get to know who these people are and what they're affiliated with. Yes. It is critical that you get informed. Don't go to the ballot box and just, poke numbers. Just, don't take it and just start poking and then thinking, well, I don't even know what I'm doing. No. Please research those names, those people. Some people are just downright evil. You know what I mean?
And there's many wonderful organizations that have put voter guides together, progressive voter guides, Democrat voter guides, that will explain and break down all of the candidates from Senate to judges, local
judges, exactly.
Right. And I know it could feel intimidating or overwhelming, but a lot of these organizations have already done the hard work of vetting all of these candidates and giving you the information that you need to make an informed vote come November, right? And I think everybody's civic duty is to vote, even if you're busy, even if you're up to here with the news. That's one thing that everyone should be doing. And we have to understand, because I think a lot of people think my vote doesn't matter. This is how much it matters, that they're trying to make it harder to vote.
And that's why exactly, that's the best point, that you're making right now, is the fact that that's why we have voter suppression right now. Right. They are trying to prevent us from voting. They're trying to keep us out of the urns. They're trying to keep us away from our own elections right now, because they're in such fear that we are now becoming the majority. And there is strength in numbers. We are very strong people, but just know which direction you're voting. Because like I said before, some people already took a hard lesson. And they had to learn it when they saw their own families being arrested. I saw guys in T-shirts that said, their love for Trump or MAGA or the red caps and stuff. I saw you guys handcuffed.
Right.
I saw the way you were removed.
Right.
From wherever you were. Right. You were removed. So it didn't matter that you were standing for the Republican Party. Right now, it's not about parties. It's about your lives. Your lives and your livelihoods. Right now, it's in jeopardy.
It's important, I think, for a lot of those people that were very vocal, the Latinos with the MAGA hats, the Latinos that came up with the catchy songs to vote. Yes. I think that they were very vocal. I don't know if they were in the, I personally believe that they were in the minority. I think that the problem with the Latino vote is that we don't go out to vote. We have so much power, yet we're not registered to vote. We don't go out to the polls. But you look at somewhere like New York City and Mamdani, the Mamdani effect, where he could talk to his constituents and say, yes, Trump is this bully that we have in the White House. I don't want to focus on that, though. I want to focus on these core issues that will make your life as a New Yorker better. And those are the types of politicians that I think invigorates the everyday apathetic voter. And that's what I saw in Texas with Tallarico. He was able, through the work of Spanish language ads, whether it be on television or radio, to convey to the Latinos, this is what the government in Texas hasn't been doing for you. This is how I'm going to close that gap and make life better for you, your family, and your future generations. And that's what we need more of.
Exactly.
It's not.
How are we as a community gonna rescue the people that are right now sitting in cells?
Right. And
how are we gonna rescue? How are we gonna get these people back?
And we have to continue to uplift the voices of those politicians like Congressman Joaquin Castro, who went to the Dilley Detention Center and put a spotlight on the 5-year-old child with the bunny hat. It is politicians like Congressman Joaquin Castro. It is political leaders like Jasmine Crockett that also attended that visit, right? To put a spotlight on Dilley.
Even Bad Bunny with the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like it has to come through all different angles.
It really does.
You know?
It does. And we need to humanize the situation. These are babies. These are children. These aren't just numbers. It was so easy during the campaign to villainize an entire community of people by calling them murderers and rapists. And
look at where the murderers are sitting and look at where the rapists are.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Predator in chief.
I mean, and that also.
And I mean, when every time I look at these pictures of all these survivors,
right?
How are we going to save all those children? We need to think about these children. I know that we cannot turn things around like 100%, but we need to find a way to give them justice. All these survivors need some justice.
Oh, most certainly. They
they need to know that, that they haven't been forgotten, that there's still hope for them, even though they might be how much older than they were when they were first abused and they were trafficked at that particular time. But I mean, the oligarchy has used children as sex slaves for decades and decades.
And continue to do it today.
And they still continue to do this. And it is still the biggest industry for these oligarchs, these very rich people.
Right.
And they see it as like going golfing.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's, how should I say it? It's so desensitized.
Yes.
And to a level where for them, it is more like playing. It's not even taken in the context of the seriousness.
Right.
That this really entails.
And that's the real tragedy here with the Epstein files. They have been released en masse. And to your point, a lot of people have been desensitized. And it's almost like, as Trump said, let's move on. I released the files. Nothing's going to happen. Let's move on. Here's a war. Pajarito, pajarito. We're going to Iran. We're going to Ecuador. We're going to Venezuela. And no, I think that we on these social media platforms, because we cannot count on traditional media outlets, we can't count on them to properly give this specific story the gravitas that it deserves. We, the people, have to keep it top of mind. We, the people, have to continue shouting it from the rooftops that these children, young girls, young boys, deserve justice, and that we won't shut up until they do. I found it infuriating to turn on the television for the past 2-3 weeks and see Savannah Guthrie's mother's kidnapping be dissected for
it was a retaliation. for her work.
I have no idea what it was, but it seems to have served a purpose on every single news outlet. They have used that time to focus on that one story when there are so many other stories. We need to get these people justice, and it's just it's infuriating to me. It leaves me flustered, because if we don't get these children that are now adults the justice that they deserve, then this cycle will continue.
Will repeat itself.
And is still happening today. And that's why victims of trafficking don't speak up, because of exactly what is happening today. Because they see that there is no justice, and we need to prove them wrong. We need to show them that there can be real justice, and
but
that
our power will come in numbers.
It has to.
And we have to unite to take this power away.
Yes.
that they have savagely placed upon all these innocent people.
And it's not enough for them to step down from their positions of power.
Oh,
it's
no.
not the Bill Gates of the world to apologize for their association.
They need to stand trial.
All of them. We have Howard Lutnick, who's in the administration, who's already had to speak to Congress. I believe he's going to have to again. We have Pam Bondi, who I believe today is being subpoenaed to speak again about the case. So we're taking baby steps in the right direction,
Right.
But again, we cannot let this story die. We need to.
No.
Everybody needs to be talking about it every single day, as much as we possibly can, because it isn't just another news story. We can't get folded in with all of these other shenanigans that the administration is trying to do to distract us.
And people really believe that, all this satanical stuff is only in the movies. No, sweethearts, it is happening in real life. The practices and the sacrificing of children and babies is happening here and now in 2026 by these very same people that are called our administration. So we really have to come together as Latinos, and we really need to become the force of nature to overcome this oligarchy who wants to enslave us. Because it's true, they want to enslave us. This would be a modern day concentration camps. And guess what? It's nothing more than Germany repeating itself. Mm-hmm. But this time, it's not the Jews, it's the Latinos that they have in mind.
It's fascinating to think about the similarities throughout the different decades.
Isn't it crazy how you could open the book and it's textbook?
Right. And you even see the way that the United States, and this is very textbook for the United States, the genocide of the indigenous peoples when they landed here, when the Europeans landed here. You see what they did to enslave an entire group of people from Africa. You see what they continued to do in the late 1930s, 1940s with Operation Wetback, specifically targeting the Mexican community, regardless if you were a citizen or not. Sometimes not even if you were Mexican. They were deporting Puerto Rican and indigenous people to Mexico. It felt very similar to now. It's just the thing that mattered back then was your skin color.
Right.
And again, they would just ship you off via boat, train, or bus. And we see it happening all over again. There has to be a reckoning. And I think that we're approaching the country's 250th anniversary. And yes. I know this administration wants to sweep that all under the rug and erase the very dark side of this country.
As you know, that's the purpose behind the banning of the books.
Yeah. Yes.
Let's get rid of history. Let's try to erase it. let's try to pretend all of this stuff never happened.
Right. And we have to focus on education. They're trying to dismantle the Department of Education. That's by design.
And why do they want to kill us with our student loans?
Oh my goodness. Yes.
The whole entire situation. And to
Exactly.
make it really difficult to get your education, right? Or even finish an education if you're in the middle of getting a degree, or you're in the middle of whatever career or profession that you're trying to do.
Right. Right. And so I think that we as a community, we also need to do a better job of extending a hand to other communities of color, especially right now that we're all being targeted. And I'm not just talking about communities of color, but I mean, you look at white women. You look at white women, they're being targeted as well, regardless if they want to see it or not.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of this pro-life movement is because they feel like white women are not holding up their end of the bargain by staying home and procreating, right? And so we really need to extend a hand to all of these different communities and understand that there is one oppressor. There's one oppressor, and there is more of us than there are of them.
Right.
We could come together and see beyond all of these differences, that we could really shift the trajectory of this country. Before you and I hopped on this call last week, we talked about a matriarchy, right?
Yes.
And a matriarchy doesn't necessarily mean that it is the opposite of a patriarchy, where a matriarch will dominate. It's not about dominating anybody else. It's about uplifting one another. It's about community. It is this country is so sickened by individualism that we don't look out for our community neighbors, our brothers and sisters down the street. But I think that by seeing the horrors of what the Department of Homeland Security has been doing to our neighbors, it's brought us together. Unfortunately, I hate that it had to get this far, but if any good is going to come out of it, is that we're helping one another and we're starting to have those conversations, and it's not going to look pretty, and it's going to sound wrong a lot of the times, and we have to do the work to be better. And we have to understand that, yes, there might be bad blood, between different groups, but we have to get beyond that if we want to progress, if we want this country to be better. It was never about making America great again. It's always been about rectifying the wrongs of the past and being better.
Right? Than we were before. But now they want to strip us women of our voting rights. How does that feel?
Right.
Excuse me? A lot of these women, that came here to this country before us fought.
Yes.
Fought, sacrificed.
Right.
And many died in the name of the voter rights that we have as women currently. For the rights that we now have for labor law.
Yes.
For our employment.
Yes.
For the rights that we hold in many different areas of life, even as mothers.
Right.
You know what I mean? Something as basic as just being able to have medical care.
Right.
And that now they want to take medical care away from us women. They want to strip us down to what?
Right.
Are we going to be their sex slaves? Just for what purpose?
Right. Procreation.
I
mean, you've heard the likes of Elon Musk talk about it. Countless.
Yeah, Mr. I have 13 kids.
Right. You've heard other far right-wing radicals like Nick Fuentes talk about his misogynistic views on women. Andrew Tate. And a lot of these people orbit around Trump, and you see how his once very good friend Epstein treated women. And so if we all connect the dots, we understand where these these men
You know where it's all rooted, right?
Yeah, where they think our trajectory as women is going in this country. And it is up to us. It is up to us to fight like hell, just like our previous generations did that fought to get us the rights that we have today. Shame on us. Shame on us for allowing these rights to get stripped from us that our foremothers worked so hard to attain. And so we have to really do the work to regain those rights and to make sure that they're fortified so that they're never taken from us again. And again, it comes back to politics and who we vote in to represent us.
Exactly.
I know that politics isn't always sexy, and politicians just politic and say a lot of yes and no's. And that's why it is also instrumental that we locate those mamdanis, right? We deserve a mamdani in Chicago, Dallas and Houston and Miami deserves a mamdani. We all deserve a mamdani.
Or Gavin Newsom, there are so many leaders currently right now that are trying to fight this.
Right.
But we all have to come together and really help them fight this battle, because it is a battle. And most families have children, and I question it. Do you love your children enough to go to battle for their future? Because this is what it is. This is what it represents.
Well, and I think for a lot of
you have nieces and nephews.
Exactly.
We have grandchildren. Who are the youth in your life that you say you love? But at this time, in this juncture, we need to save from all the stuff you're watching.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. You just think about having a teenage son or daughter today.
Yes,
and
right now.
Seeing that, there's a potential for a draft.
Yes.
I know that the creators or a writer from South Park created that very funny website, draftbarontrump.com.
Yes.
But, yeah, I don't see these politicians lining up that are okay with these actions of this administration, lining up to have their kids enlist in the military. I don't see that happening. But it is going to be our children. And I'm one of the many women that have decided I'd rather not have children. That is how I'm protecting my children. I refuse to bring children into this world. But to your point, I do have other young people in my life.
In your life that you love to death, right?
Nephews, nieces in my life that I want to protect wholeheartedly. But I think that for a lot of women, the decision to not have children, it's because of the destruction that we see by these leaders. Who would want to bring a child into this world knowing that so many women, especially in collegiate spaces, are abused and trafficked? And how do you protect your daughters? How do you protect your children? These thoughts go through my head when deciding whether or not to start a family. And I think that those are conversations we need to be more comfortable having also, I think, within the Latino community.
And we need to have these that, even if it sounds like harsh, you got to sit down and have dinner with your family and talk about all these things. They're pressing issues.
They are pressing issues. And you see the numbers. Latinas are our brothers. The Latinos in the community, we are surpassing them when it comes to education, when it comes to really climbing the corporate ladder. And we need to have these tough decisions. We can't leave our Latino brothers behind. But how do we help them? How do we engage with them? And so it's such a multifaceted conversation that needs way more time. But it all ties in. It all ties in, right? And that's how the Trumps of the world. Oh, my dog
He wants to be interviewed too.
He does. Come here.
He's saying, I agree.
He is. He's like, Mama, you're so right. He's the macho
Yes.
family.
Yeah.
So, but that's, to the point of there's so many young Latino men that were seduced by Trump's message, by the Nick Fuentes message, right? Oh boy. So I just gave him that one look, like I'm gonna take the chancla out. But yeah, he. Oh boy. Let me get him. I'm so sorry. Let me pause just for a second. Just for a second. Okay, here he is.
Yes.
He's gonna join
In my
me.
last program, we had a cat. Now we have a dog. So
Now-
we have we have the pets.
Yeah, you should get sponsored by like PetSmart.
Yes.
But like I was saying, there's so many of our Latino young men in our community that were so easily seduced by Trump's message, right? That is so full of misogyny. And Nick Fuentes, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but this messaging of like women need to be in the home and they're leaving us behind, and America's for men and women should be in the kitchen, and these talking points resonated, and so we have to understand that we can't just
Ignore it.
ignore it.
Can't. No.
We can't. And thankfully in our community we are so family centric, so family oriented, that I think that we're trying to have those conversations. It's difficult. Sometimes it's even downright dangerous, right? Because these outlets, these people have done such a great job of infiltrating their minds. We have a whole generation of incels within our community. And so I often think about that. I think about the future for our young men in our community and what that looks like.
We have to take care of our young men. I'm really, the young boys in our families, we have to take care of them and assist them right now, because I think that young boys right now are kind of lost. They don't know, like, what's my place in the world now?
Right.
They're kind of like all over the place at this point.
They really are. And we need to protect ourselves as the women in the community. We need to protect ourselves. But we're so smart. Latinos are so smart and powerful. And I think if anyone were able to find some inroads to help our the Latinos in the community, it's going to be us. It's going to be us.
Right.
While protecting ourselves at the same time. But it's a real issue. It's a real issue.
Yeah.
And you see the male Latino votes and why it trended in that direction.
Right.
We, instead of shunning that entire side of our community, we need to take a look at it. We need to understand it. And we need to act on it. And there's really incredible people like Paola Ramos, who has come out with several books. I believe her last one was The Defectors, where she did a lot of on the ground investigative journalism, speaking to these young men. I didn't know that the founders of the Proud Boys were Latinos.
I know, that's the sad part.
Latinos.
And then I was horrified when I saw the ICE agents be Latinos. And they were speaking Spanish, and I thought, oh my God, how could this be happening? Our own people against our own?
Yes.
It was just like more than I could, stomach, really, honestly. I was just like, this is too much to stomach. Our own people beating on our own people. And, it's just been very, very difficult. 2025 was unbelievable. It was horrible year for our community. And I really hope that 2026 will help us turn it around. We're running out of time, but in closing, what would you like to say in closing?
I'd like to say that we as a community need to do a better job of using our voice. I think we're such a humble, beautiful community, but we don't use our voice. And if that means having more Elsas and Jacquelines and Carlos Eduardo Espinas in the world, please reach out to us. I'm sure that you, Elsa, and myself would love to help motivate more people to speak up on social media, because that's where we're meeting people, right? That's where we're changing hearts, changing minds, and getting people to actually get out to the polls. And now more than ever, while we're heading into the primaries in many states, heading into the midterm elections, let's get loud. Let's get on these platforms. Let's make content, and let's talk to our community. English, Spanish, what have you.
Right. Y sí se puede, but everybody has to come out and they have to vote.
Yeah, and everybody's voice is powerful. I know so many people think, well, what can I say? It's speak your own authentic truth and why these votes matter to you. And that's
if they weren't powerful, they wouldn't want to suppress it. Always remember that.
Exactly.
Every time you question it, every time you doubt it, say, I'm doing this because my power is so powerful that if it weren't there, they would not want to suppress it. And that's something that our community needs to take to heart.
Yes.
And we really need to make it happen this time.
Right. We have
to turn this around. We got to turn this around.
Right. We can't rely on a singular politician or any one superhero. We all need to do our part.
Exactly. So think about what your part will be today. And I thank you, Jackie, for, bringing all of this to the table today. It was of substance, and it was something that I'm sure you had in your heart to bring to our community, just like I always bring Wings of Love, and I bring all this to our community because I care, because we have families that we love, and we have friends that we love. And if you're within that branch of humans that we love so much, then we want what's best for all of us.
Yes.
Collectively, so let's bring it on. Let's go vote. Let's do this, and let's make it happen for our families, for our community, because if we don't do it, it's not going to do itself.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Elsa, for being on.
Yes, thank you so very much. We went a little farther than what I thought we would, but still, I think everything has been worth the time that we have put into this today. Thank you so much for being with us. Again, we've been broadcasting live through Dimension Latina FM, radio, TV, and we do this out of Chicago for your families and to bring you the best. We send you blessings, a lot of love. Until next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you for having been with us. All right. Bye-bye.
aquí llegamos con nuestra programación en vivo.